Welcome, everyone, to ITD Gaming Appetizers. And if you thought we were going to get away without seeing us talk about this subject, you were wrong. Because we're going to talk about Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. We're going to talk about that. Everybody else is. We might as well do it as well. It's one of the biggest gaming acquisitions in history. Basically, Microsoft will acquire Activision Blizzard as long as nothing comes up with any antitrust or anything like that for $95 a share. Roughly estimated at a $68.7 billion purchasing value. So that's huge news. That's a huge purchase for anybody, but it's huge for Microsoft. This basically makes them the number 3, I believe, gaming company, third largest gaming company behind Sony and Tencent. So that's really big news. And that's by revenue, not like, anything else. So they're going to be making the bank with Activision. It's got everybody. It's got some people worried. It's got some people happy. It's got all the gaming news networks up in a roar for the last few days. So, we had to touch on that one. We have to poke everything that's out there. So let's see, Nick, what are your initial thoughts on this acquisition, this major, huge acquisition, this giant belly bulge of an Activision?
Interesting. It came out of left field. Like, I just woke up that day and saw that, hey, Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. Wow, didn't see that coming. We knew that an acquisition was kind of in the works. There'd been rumors and kind of talk about Microsoft, and even Phil Spencer, I think, at one point saying they weren't done acquiring studios. But after the Bethesda, I didn't think the other studios that they would acquire would be even more expensive than that, because at the time that was expensive, and then now we have Activision Blizzard, and that's a big company. Activision's a huge company, and they have a lot of great games, even though Activision, they're not quite EA, but they're almost there as far as crappy companies go. But hopefully with this acquisition, Microsoft can turn that boat around. We'll see what happens. But for now, yeah, they did say that the deal would probably, they don't know for sure, but the deal would probably end in the second, or in the, I think it was the second fiscal quarter of Microsoft's fiscal in 2023. So that's when we're looking to, around sometime in 2023, to close this deal off. And then they're owned by Microsoft. And what does that mean for games, right? What does that mean for the games that Activision Blizzard makes? Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, things like that. What does it mean for those games that we haven't seen in a long time, right? Are those going to come back? I mean, we don't know. So it is kind of exciting. I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about them buying Activision Blizzard. I guess I don't really have a problem with it, but I do hope personally that they keep most of the games. I'm sure not every game will be multi-platform, but I'm hoping, it would be stupid for Microsoft not to keep big games like Call of Duty and stuff like that multi-platform. I mean, that's just more money in their pocket, right? That game, no matter how crappy a version comes out, it still makes billions. So it's like, hey, keep that multi-platform, put it out on everything, PlayStation included, because Microsoft is going to rake in the cash with that. So I think all in all, it's great for Microsoft. Is it great for gamers? Yeah, probably. I mean, we're going to get a lot of additions to Game Pass. So, hey, that's cool. But yeah, so it was definitely out of left field. What about you, Shane? What do you think?
Oh, man, I about dropped an egg roll when I read that. It was just like, I had to double check. That's $69 billion. Son of a... It was definitely not I was expecting. I mean, there had been rumors for a long time now since the last big purchase they made of whatchamajigger, can't think of the name. Bethesda, yes. And I was freaking out about $7 billion. It was 7.8, I think it was. So I was dropping nuggets there, and then as like Pat was talking about before we started, Microsoft held their own beer. Watch this. They didn't make it rain. They made it hurricane. It was definitely not what I was expecting. The rumors were Japanese. Everybody kind of thinking they were going to go for a Japanese company, which, Square Enix was a big one that kept kind of rolling around on the rumor mill. Was not expecting this whatsoever. I am not an Activision fan of the company. They have great teams. They have great game makers over there, but they were ran by jackknobs, and it's really sad what that company has done. And if you notice, though, over the last several months, you've been hearing people getting fired, and then you have all these people protesting and stuff, walking out and blah blah blah. I think it's awesome that they have a chance to turn around now. These people have a chance to turn around with a company that so far Phil Spencer has never really had a bad thing said about him as far as the game developing side of it. So I hope he can flip that around. It's all the pro Xbox's God people are just rolling right now with just laughter and smiles because they're like, screw Sony. And then all the pro Sony only ponies, they're all freaking out. Microsoft's still going to do this and that, and they're going to suck, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're all wrong. Microsoft's going to share a big portion of these games still with multi-platform. They're going to, because it's a money thing. It's not a game thing. It's a money thing. They are going to keep certain games, though, exclusive because they got great developers with this purchase. I mean, they're just going to. It's just a business thing. It's about money. It's not about the games. I really, really am excited to see how they handle it, though. Sony is definitely dropping egg rolls like myself, and they released a little statement saying, "We expect Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform," is what a spokesperson said. That's pissed off, is what that is. They're pissed off by that because they didn't just buy a developer; they bought a herd of developers, and it's awesome. I do worry about the multi-platform stuff. I would like to see Microsoft, keep the peace with certain things. Warzone, definitely has to be multi-platform. I can't see them not, because there's too much money involved. But there's certain games that they're going to have to keep to themselves. They have to. I mean, that's where the money's at, because they're got to make up for some of this money that they're blown, just unbelievably blown. My question is, are they going to buy anything else for a while? So, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this does to Game Pass. So let's go to Pat, because this is a lot to talk about. This is a lot to handle. So what about you, Pat? How do you feel about all this?
Well, they've got a mess to clean up. That's for sure. Right. Activision Blizzard has been under a lot of scrutiny here in the last year because, basically a lot of internal strife. There's claims that there's a lot of sexism and stuff like that going on in the upper management chains of Activision. So there's a lot of hearsay running around whether they're going to keep the upper echelon of Activision Blizzard. I honestly think that if Microsoft needs to come in there, and I hate this term. I've been in this situation, but Microsoft's got to come in and clean house. They're going to have to go, you're a problem, you're a problem, you're a problem. We need you gone. Unfortunately, Shane brought up a good term that they're probably going to get the golden parachute. I hope they all get golden pogo sticks out the window. I hope they don't get anything when they go out the door. They don't need anything. They're ruining the company. And, so there's a lot of protesters. There's a lot of stuff running around where they're now talking about unionizing out there and everything like that. So Microsoft has got a shitstorm to clean up on their hands out there. So
they bought problems just as much as they bought, solutions. So,
right. And, I don't know what direction they'll go with their games, because Microsoft is trying to steal console market share from Sony. And the only way they can do that is by making these games exclusive. Now, that's going to upend the esports market if they do some of that. I mean, because Call of Duty, Overwatch, they're big in the esports, stuff like that. They're big in the esports market. And if they bring that exclusive stuff over, Call of Duty is a big one if they bring that over exclusive. Not really worried about some of the other stuff because that's PC genre only stuff they got out there. But this acquisition also gets Microsoft a firmer foot in the mobile market with King, because that King comes along with that, and they're big in the mobile market. And if you don't know who they are, you've heard the term Candy Crush. King, it's the owners of Candy Crush. So that's everybody's toilet time game, and some people still play that. And today, so they've got
3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I'm on it.
Yeah. So I think it's a good deal for Microsoft. The amount of acquisition, I do not know if that's a good deal or not in the end, because that's quite a bit more than I believe the market value for them is, especially with the strife and everything going on in that company. But all the people, all the investors and everybody who watches the market and everything, this seems to be a big, huge deal for them because stocks are going up for everybody except Sony. So, so everybody thinks this is a good acquisition. Activision Blizzard stock's going up, Microsoft stock's going up, Sony's going down. Everybody's worried about what this is going to mean for Sony. And honestly, I don't think it means a whole lot for them. I'm torn, right, on whether Microsoft will make some of these things exclusive. Will Microsoft make Call of Duty exclusive? That's a really hard pill for me to swallow for them to make that exclusive, but it is an option they now have on the table, and I guess people are worried about that because PlayStation has by and far the largest worldwide console dispersion between Microsoft and Xbox. There's no ifs, ands, or that. That's it. They are. So you're losing out on that market share by eliminating that. So part of that company's revenue, if you decide you're not going to put that on PlayStation, you just lost a chunk of that company's revenue for a game that they pump out like freaking every other year, it's one of those games that comes out all that frequently. So if they do make it exclusive, I think you're going to hurt the esport market, and you're also going to hurt the revenue shares for Activision. So I don't know. It's Microsoft's call, and we'll see what they do. But I guarantee you those contracts are probably in good for at least another 2 to 4 years. So before they can do any type of exclusive rights, but only time will tell, right?
That's right. Let me ask you something, Pat. What do you see as the biggest, as just a gamer? I mean, don't think of it as the business level, but think of it as a gamer. What is the biggest pro and the biggest con you see of this?
My biggest pro is we might get to see some of those older titles that we love. That's the biggest, because Phil Spencer's even mentioned, they'll look at that back catalog and see what they might be able to bring back. So it brings a whole list of new IPs, or not new IPs, but old IPs back into the light. Microsoft's going to be like, this one did very well. I think we can do this with this. So there's going to be a fresh set of eyes and developers on this stuff. So that's one of the good things. One of the bad things is always consolidation of the market. You're basically removing some of this independence from the studios. Now, Microsoft said they learned lessons and passed with some of their older studios, so it might not be a bad thing. But I'm always leery in gaming and in everything in life. I'm leery when your choices diminish. So that always, as a gamer, scares me when my number of choices of developers diminishes. Because could you imagine if this was EA we were talking about buying another studio? I'd be like, it would be the complete opposite. I would be like, nah, there's nothing good about this. Basically, you might as well kiss these guys goodbye. As we've talked about everything else, like BioWare and all this other stuff. You just kill my favorites is what they've done when they've taken them over. So, but I don't feel that way with Microsoft. Not yet, anyway. Time will tell. But that's my biggest fear. But it's more, I don't really have a huge fear for it. It's more sad news for the mobile gaming market, because that means Microsoft's got a little bit bigger crunch into the mobile market, and I really don't like the mobile market.
What about you, Nick? Just as a gamer standpoint, I mean, what's your biggest pro and con take out of this?
Well, the pro would definitely be the classic IPs, but also those games coming to Game Pass, right? Yeah, I mean, once this goes down, we're going to have a huge amount of games coming to Game Pass that'll be on Game Pass. And Game Pass for PC. I mean, we're talking about Blizzard titles, which, Blizzard's gone kind of downhill a bit, but hopefully this will turn them around. But, we got Diablo 4 coming out, that'll probably be a Game Pass game that we can go, because even though Blizzard's kind of teetering, I'm definitely excited for Diablo 4. I love Diablo, so I'm definitely
Will
down
WoW
for
now
it.
be a Game Pass game?
Right. I mean, how are they? Yeah, the starter set will be. But
You get vanilla on
Yeah,
Game
you get
Pass.
the vanilla one. That's really what I'm looking forward to, is that influx of Game Pass games that are going to come in, that they're just going to be on there, right? Because they've done the same thing with Bethesda. Once they did Bethesda and that deal closed, like every Bethesda game is on Game Pass, basically. Like, you can play all of them, and they're not going to go anywhere either, right? Because they own that company. They don't need to cycle those out. They're just going to be there. So for Game Pass, it's even more promising than it already was, right? My con is really it kind of exactly what Patrick said. It kind of scares me with even somebody like Microsoft or even Sony buying up developers, right? Where we lose these third-party independent developers, and then we just have Sony having this slew of developers and Microsoft having this slew of developers, and then you have Nintendo having their slew of developers, and then you have just some indies spread around. We have quite a few, but we still have quite a few big developers out there. But if they get all swiped up from these companies, then we don't have that multi-platformness. And all of us here, we play everything, right? We own all the systems. So we might talk about Xbox one day, we'll talk about PlayStation the other, or Nintendo, but we all play on them, right? I mean, over the weekend, we played a golf game on PlayStation 5 all weekend long, basically, or like one. So, it's not like, sometimes you might get the impression we're Xbox guys, but really we play everything. We play everything on anything. So, and it's really just that, I mean, what does this mean for the multi-platform? What does it mean for the multi-platform games? What does it mean because I don't want those people that are just Sony people, or just maybe they only have enough money for a PlayStation, to miss out on some great titles. So, that could be a problem, but I mean, luckily, Game Pass, they do have the Game Pass for PC, which is pretty cheap. So if they don't have one and they have a decent PC, they could still get a lot of those games through that. But, that's my only con, is just that multi-platform could go away in the future for those people not on the Xbox marketplace. So what about you, Shane?
Honestly, I don't think I could disagree with either one of you on your pros and cons. I fully agree, and I think both of them are dead accurate. I do love the thought of the Game Pass expansion. Really great titles. I'm also super excited, like you guys, like you said, is the older IPs coming back. I mean, would Gex the Gecko still have its, flavor from it, 20 years ago? Probably not, but could they do something with it? Yeah, they could make, a smaller title with it, with the sweet sense of humors and all that stuff. I'd love the idea of getting some of those exclusives, those games back on the market, with different ideals and things like that. It's a great thing. But yeah, the con of it, if Microsoft doesn't handle this well, it could bite Microsoft in the butt too. If they don't watch how they handle the exclusivities, because I don't want to see Call of Duty Warzone only on Xbox and PC. To me, that's a disaster. Microsoft wouldn't do it, but just as an example, they have got to watch which ones they make exclusive. Existing IPs like Call of Duty should remain multi-platform. I think a timed exclusive would be just fine. 6 months, no more than a year, for a Call of Duty game, because they're still going to make mad revenue off of it when it switches to the other consoles. That's just my thought, but I mean, Microsoft's got to be very careful the way they handle it. People were giving them crap when they bought up Bethesda because is it Ghostwire Tokyo? They're going to take that away. No, Microsoft didn't. Microsoft didn't do anything. It was contract. They let it go. They're probably not trying to rig the game to where it runs like crap on PlayStation, so it runs amazing on the Series X or nothing like that. I think Phil Spencer is a good enough boss to make those right decisions. I hope he is. But I
he
think
seems very genuine.
He
seems
does.
Like very genuine.
He does. He does seem like he doesn't seem like Peter Moore.
Nope.
Peter Moore. When he walked out on stage, 20 years ago, and rolled up his sleeve, GTA 4. You douche nozzle. Nobody for a second believed he was a gamer. He was a good gaming businessman, but he wasn't no gamer. Bill Spencer seems like a gamer. He does.
Seem like a gamer,
yeah. So,
and they did the same thing with Deathloop. That's right before Deathloop came out.
Deathloop. Yeah.
And Deathloop, not according to us, but according to critics, is a 10 out of 10. So
yes.
And it was an exclusive title, but it isn't going to come to Xbox now.
Yes, it was
just
exclusive.
Yeah, so because of that, from what I understand, since it wasn't going to, before the acquisition happened, it wasn't going to be a timed exclusive, and then the acquisition, and Microsoft's like, of course we're going to bring this to you guys as soon as our contractual obligations are. If they're a company first, regardless of what anybody cares, Phil Spencer could be the nicest guy, a gamer's gamer friend, whatever. But Microsoft is still a company, and they're going to abide by their contracts because they're not an idiot. They're going to lose more money in arbitration than they would from anything that they're going to piss it out the window and saying, we're not going to honor those contracts. They're going to spend too much time fighting all that crap than they would making the money. So I don't think that's going to happen. Well, a lot's happened with this, and there's a lot more news coming out. There's a lot of rumors flying around. Only time will tell, but we can probably spend half the night talking about this subject if we wanted to. So we're going to have to probably put this to bed before we end up hitting a half an hour, 45 minutes or an hour into this conversation. And nobody wants to watch that long of a few old guys talking about some hash freaking topic over and over and over. So anybody got any final words or some last minute things they want to get put in before we line this one out?
Guitar Hero.
Ooh, good one.
Guitar Hero.
I have a game ideal, Microsoft, if you're listening. I will sell it to you for 1% of what you bought Activision for. Call me. So that's all I got.
All right.
And Guitar Hero.
Let us know your pros and cons list. Shane had brought that out for us. Let us know what your pros and cons are. What do you think are the pros of this, if you have any? I mean, some people don't think there's any pros of this. And if you have any cons, what those are. Maybe you don't see the cons in this. From a gamer's perspective, what do you think? If you're a businessman out there, what is your perspective on this? Are you buying more stock of Activision or Blizzard and Microsoft, or are you dumping this and running away? What are your thoughts? Let us know. Remember, don't forget to like, share, and comment down below. We pretty much interact with just about anybody that comments down below as time permits. And make sure you don't forget to hit that bell for notifications because we put out plenty of videos every week. So we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.